Today, for the first time, I'm going to be showing you how to use my holistic herbal hair growth oil on my bearded, decidedly male and low maintenance husband. So let's jump into it. So hair loss is a huge problem today for men, women too, but men especially in our culture in the West here. And there's doubtless so many factors that go into that, like lifestyle and diet and stress and just the way our culture is. However, in today's video, I want to be showing you and talking to you more about how you can actually use thousands-year-old, natural, holistic, time-honored techniques to regrow and thicken men's hair. Not just women's hair, men's hair too. Even if, you think it's some sort of hereditary hair loss, or it's hopeless because all the other men in your life are losing their hair, I'm here to tell you that that's not necessarily the case, and that there are simple things that you can do that can make a huge difference. So this is my husband, Paul. I'm just starting to apply the oil in his hair, but I want to talk to you a bit about what his hair used to be like from my perspective, and then I'll ask you, Paul. So from my perspective, Paul has always had really nice hair, but just in the past few years, it has been starting to thin a little bit around here, his hairline and the crown. And also, it's always been, apart from recently, which I'm going to be talking about, but before that, it's always been somewhat limp and flat, just doesn't really hold a shape. When you comb it, it just kind of ends up going back down. So in the past, when his hair would get to this length, we would both kind of be saying okay, I think it's time for a haircut now. Whereas now that's kind of all changed. But Paul, can I hear your thoughts on what your hair used to be like prior to this routine?
Yeah, well, it used to be quite thin, it seemed like, and whenever it got long, I didn't like having it long. I like to get it cut, have it short most of the time. But now it's, I actually enjoy having it longer, being able to comb it back, and it stays more, and just seems to be a lot better, a lot healthier.
Yeah, to be fair, I wouldn't say it was quite thin before, although it was thinning in certain areas. He's always had really thick, healthy hair, at the back of his hair here, you can see. It's only gotten better recently, but yeah, it was definitely starting to thin out at the crown and the temples. And we both decided okay, I have all of these hair care techniques that I know can help to thicken hair, so maybe we should get serious about using these on you. Could you tell us, Paul, about what you were doing with your hair before?
Yeah, well, most of my life I would just use, traditional shampoo that you buy at the store. But the past several years I've been using more of a natural bar of soap to wash my hair.
Olive oil soap, right?
Yeah, it's olive oil soap, and I would do that every day. I'd have a shower, and probably wasn't the best, but that's what I was doing anyway.
So if you weren't to use that soap on one day, what would your hair be like?
Yeah, it would seem probably more greasy, and I wouldn't like it, so I definitely make sure to do it every day.
One of the biggest differences that we made for your hair care routine, I would say, was, it was a good idea to switch to the olive oil soap instead of shampoo, obviously, but switching to clay washing was that made a huge difference, wouldn't you say?
Oh yeah, for sure. I can definitely tell a difference.
Yeah, so basically, if you were new to my videos, I am a huge advocate of not using shampoo or even soap in your hair, but rather using something called Rasool clay to create a mixture with clay and water. That's as simple as it gets. And washing your hair with that, because the clay not only is able to draw the oils and dirt out of your hair and get it really clean, but it also has a whole lot of other benefits. It gives your hair more body and strength, which is a huge difference we both noticed in your hair, I think. And it also helps with hair growth and preventing hair loss because it brings a lot of blood circulation to the scalp. It's full of minerals. But yeah, I would say the biggest difference we noticed right off the bat when we started the clay washing was Paul's hair. He all of a sudden had Clark Kent hair, that vintage sort of 1940s men's hair where it's combed back, but it has this body and this volume to it. Your hair was never like that before, right?
No.
When you comb it before, it was more just kind of flat, right? The combing is just, it would just get it to go in a certain direction, but it certainly wouldn't give it any body.
Yeah, it seems a lot more flat. It seems like it has a lot more volume after I've been using the clay wash regularly.
Yeah, and the thing about having volume in your hair from the clay wash is that also translates to your scalp itself. Like the increased volume and vitality that the clay wash gives to the hair strands themselves, it's also happening to the scalp. It's bringing a whole lot more blood flow and vitality to the scalp too, which will help to grow thicker, healthier hair going forward the longer you use it. So a necessary kind of add-on to the clay wash, the two things work together when you're going to be using clay wash, is also an apple cider vinegar rinse, which I have talked about in length on this channel. Basically, it just helps to complete the cleansing process. It softens the hair, it's a pH balancer, and it's also really, really great for halting hair loss and regrowing hair. It's amazing for bringing blood circulation to the scalp, strengthening the hair, and getting rid of any harmful bacteria or yeast or fungus that could be growing on the scalp and impeding hair growth. So something I would like to note that we've been trying with Paul's hair and my hair, and my sister-in-law Edita's hair on my last clay washing video, is that I have kind of a new and improved clay wash recipe that I have recently come up with, and I have not shared it publicly online whatsoever yet, which is unusual for me. The reason being that I ideally would like to sell this particular recipe of clay wash at some point, but for now, like, that's still kind of a long way out. So I thought it would be nice to be able to share it with those of you who are interested. So I'm going to have a link for you in the description where you can enter your email, and then we will send that amazing, amazing clay wash recipe straight to your inbox. We'll probably be sending that out like a week or two after posting this video. We'll be sending it out to like those on my email list. So if you're seeing this shortly after it's being posted, then don't wait to enter your email there. Basically, in a nutshell, this clay wash recipe adds other benefits into the clay with the addition of Ayurvedic herbs that are also known for hair growth and scalp benefits, and essential oils that are pre-mixed into the formula, so it's a lot simpler to use. In the past, I would just kind of like mix the clay powder in the water and then add the essential oils after. But that can kind of be annoying to do every time you want to wash your hair, and especially for men's hair care. Like Paul, you wash your hair every day with the clay wash, right?
Yep.
So basically, I will mix him a bottle of this clay wash that lasts him probably a week. It's nice to not have to mix it up every single time, and it already has the essential oils in there. You just have to mix it with water. I've been using a shaker cup lately, and I'm finding it's really quick and convenient to mix it with. So now that we've talked so much about the clay wash, let's talk about the oil that we're actually using right now. This is my Herbal hair growth oil formula. If you've been around on my channel for a long time, you will be familiar with this. This is a recipe that I have been using for 7 years now, probably at least, and I've shared it publicly on the internet for the past couple years for free. You can make it yourself, but I have always received a lot of requests from people to begin selling it, and up until recently that wasn't really a realistic possibility, but now it is, and we are selling it, and we've already sold how many bottles, Paul?
Over 1,500.
Yeah, over 1,500, and we've only had this out since June of this year, so like 5 months. And a lot of people are loving it. You can check out the reviews. We'll obviously have the hair oil linked in the description if you want to check it out and read the reviews and the testimonials and read more about the ingredients. Basically, it's a base of organic carrier oils that are curated to like combine the best benefits of each while creating a really like balanced oil. It's not too light and it's not too heavy either. And then it's infused for 3 weeks with no heat, or very little heat, just like incubation level of heat. It's infused with these Ayurvedic herbs that are time-honored and actually scientifically studied to be effective at regrowing hair and thickening hair and improving scalp health. And then finally, to top it all off, it's mixed with a curated blend of really high quality essential oils that all work together for like maximum hair growth and scalp health effects. And I wouldn't say the scent is too feminine, would you, Paul?
No, I like it. I think it's really good.
Yeah, I think it's a balanced scent. Like, I did want to make a scent that appealed to women because so far that's been my main audience, but by its definition, because it's infused with all sorts of like Ayurvedic herbs, it does have a very kind of earthy scent just by definition. So I think it's definitely a unisex sort of smell. I've heard people describe it as like opening a jar of delicious herbal tea. Like that's kind of how it smells. So let's talk about the changes we've seen in Paul's hair growth. So his hair being oily may not be the best time to show it. And we will do our best to find like some before photos or video footage of his hair before. But basically, if you look closely, when I comb back his hair, you'll see that there's all of these little hairs sticking up all along his hairline. These are all new. Before we started this routine, there was none of that. It was just skin and then long hair going back, like starting here. He has gotten this whole like fringe of new baby hairs that are growing in and filling in his hairline further down his forehead than how it used to be previously. So that has literally been amazing to see. And it's not just at his hairline. If you look at his crown and really throughout his head, I'll show the crown right now. You can see in his crown, this is definitely his thinnest area, but there has been a huge improvement. You can see all of these little short hairs growing in his crown area, especially if I comb it, you can see them like peeking their little heads up. That is all new growth on his crown. And that's amazing. That's what we want to see when we're doing a hair growth proning routine. You want to see those new little hairs growing, not just around the hairline, but throughout the head. And we've definitely been seeing that on Paul's hair. And even like, let's show the back of your hair, Paul. He's always had relatively thick hair, like this whole area, but his hair is just so luscious and healthy now, especially at this back area. It has a really nice natural wave to it. Whereas before, like his hair might have had a little bit of a wave, but it wasn't this defined. So the clay wash routine and the hair oiling routine is really just bringing out the natural beauty of his hair texture and this wave pattern that he has, which is helping his hair to look good at a longer length than it previously was able to look decent at. Like you would always want to cut it once it got to this length, right, Paul?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So basically, to put his hair routine in a nutshell, to make it simple, we've been trying to do this hair oiling routine that you're seeing me doing once a week. Ideally, we'd probably be doing it twice a week, but once a week is what we've been fitting in. And then he's been using the clay wash every day with the apple cider vinegar rinse, right, Paul?
Yep.
So could you like talk to us a bit about what that looks like? Like, what do you do with the clay wash? And is it easy? Is it like, what does it work? How does it work?
Yeah, well, it's in one of those bottles with a little thing on top which can get to your scalp. So I get my hair wet and then I kind of squeeze it and right on the scalp, all around the head. And then I kind of go like this and massage it all in for a while, and I let it soak in for a few minutes before rinsing it out. And then I use the vinegar rinse afterwards, kind of the same thing.
Do you do the clay wash just like all at once, or do you do it 2 separate rounds?
No, I try to do it all at once.
Okay.
I mean, I guess if you have more hair, you might have to do it more, but...
Yeah. And what does it feel like on your scalp when you're applying the clay wash?
At first, when I first started doing it, it felt kind of like a bit of a cool sensation, but I think you kind of get used to it over time, and so it doesn't feel like that as much anymore, but it definitely, there's a little bit of that still.
And that's good. That means it's working and the essential oils are really bringing the blood flow.
Yeah.
What about the vinegar rinse?
Like what does it feel like?
Yeah, what does it feel like? How does that work?
Yeah, well, it's a bit cool, but I think mainly because it's the vinegar rinse itself is a bit colder, like the temperature of the... So, but I put that in, and you just gotta be careful not to get any in your eyes.
Yeah, I'll add a note here. The apple cider vinegar rinse recipe that I usually use on myself and that I've shared on the internet, aimed at women, keep in mind, is actually a lot more diluted than the vinegar rinse that I've been mixing up for Paul. So that's something to keep in mind. If you have short hair You can get away with a stronger vinegar to water concentration in your in your vinegar rinse. You don't have to worry about long hair that's going to get dried out from the vinegar. That's the main reason why we dilute it a lot for people with long hair. So if you're a man or a woman with short hair and your main goal is to just increase your scalp health and thicken up your hair, then you can definitely increase the ratio of vinegar to water. I can't tell you right off the top of my head the recipe that I use because I just do it by eye when I'm mixing up Paul's bottle, but I will actually include a vinegar rinse recipe for short hair in that email that I'm going to be sending out in a week or two with the clay wash recipe as well. So definitely put in your email if you want specific recipes and instructions for all of that.
I had psoriasis on the back of my head,
Right
the
here.
scalp,
Yeah.
probably for as long as I can remember, for most of my life anyway. But the past several years it's kind of gone away, and I don't know if that was when I transitioned to using the natural soap instead of shampoo.
Yeah, it could have been because it did go away like at least a few years ago, I would say, right?
Yeah, I would say at least 5 maybe.
Yeah, so that could have we don't know for sure because we couldn't remember and we weren't really keeping track of it at the time, but it could have definitely coincided with when you stopped using shampoo, right?
Yeah, I think that's probably when it is, if I were to guess.
Yeah, so he was using a natural olive oil soap. We can link it below actually if you're interested in that. I mean, it definitely wasn't like the ideal for you, but I think if you're not ready to jump into this whole clay wash thing, but you just want a more natural option that still is like soap for your hair, then that soap could be a good option. It's better than conventional shampoos, certainly. But for you, it was still it wasn't helping with your hair thinning, right? And it wasn't like your hair was pretty like limp when you were using that still, like the shampoo. So what Paul really needed for his hair health ultimately was the clay wash and the vinegar rinse. But for a while that just like wasn't practical for us, or I guess neither of us were like super motivated to make that happen. So if you're at that point in life, then a natural soap can be a good option. You can see I'm massaging Paul's scalp to get the oil really worked in. The main goal of scalp massage, other than getting the oil to absorb, which of course is obvious, is you want to use your fingers to try to get the skin of the scalp to flex and move. You want the skin of your scalp to be able to move independently of like your skull, basically. And surprisingly, that's something that a lot of people don't know or aren't aware of, and they never even touch their scalp. And a lot of us tend to hold tension and stress in our heads. And so sometimes when you try to massage your head for the first time, or someone else tries to massage your head for the first time, there will be certain areas of your head or even your whole head that like the skin isn't moving. And that can be a surefire sign of like one of the contributing causes of hair thinning if you don't have any flexibility in your scalp. Because if there's no skin flexibility, then there's not going to be a lot of blood flow either. And tension in your head, lack of blood flow can all contribute to hair thinning. So that's a really easy thing that you can work on over time, either yourself or a loved one, massaging your scalp, ideally once a day, but certainly at least once a week, just gently trying to move the skin and working on any areas that have more tension. And it can actually be kind of interesting to like feel the areas of your head that are more tense than others. And sometimes you can remember like, oh yeah, like when I feel stressed, I do tend to feel it like in that area of my head. Or who knows, maybe the area of your head that's more tense coincides with thinner areas of hair on your head too. That's always interesting to notice. Now, Paul's scalp is pretty flexible. I don't remember a time when it wasn't flexible, though. We have been doing scalp massages for a while now. Not necessarily consistently, but your scalp is pretty flexible. But you can see like his hair is literally oily right now, and you can still see how much volume there is in his hair. That's pretty amazing. Like usually in the past, if I applied oil to Paul's hair, it would just be like, and like flat against his head, just very limp. And even when it's oily, it still has that really great volume in it. And that is from the clay wash. The clay wash has made the biggest difference. And then the oil treatments have made a huge difference in terms of growing these new hairs. So I'm really excited to see what will happen as we keep doing this, like 6 months out, 1 year out. Yeah. So I'm just gonna keep massaging this into Paul's head, but I'd like to segue into mentioning some amazing skincare products while we're on the subject of the psoriasis and stuff. So my best friend Jessica recently started a line of all natural skincare products. You can see some of them here on the dresser. This is not the full line, this is just some of them, but they are absolutely amazing. Like basically they are to skincare what my line of hair care products is to hair care. They are completely all natural. They keep your skin clean and moisturized without stripping the oils, and they can really improve your complexion over time. They can help prevent aging. And let me just tell you about my experience. I'd like to specifically talk about these 2 products today because they have been my holy grail products. These are the Refine, the daytime hydrating serum. This one's called Refine, and this is the nighttime hydrating serum called Restore. So basically what these are, let me back up. When I was, let's say, a teenager, I was using completely conventional products on my skin. I was using conventional moisturizers and cleansers and all of that. And I really liked how the moisturizers kept my skin moisturized. But then I got to a point in my life where I was like, okay, I don't want to use these conventional products that have all of these chemical ingredients in them. I need to find something different. So of course, what I went to was things like oils and butters. And that is literally what I've been using for several years up until recently. And they worked, but it still always felt like there was a missing link between that water-based moisturizer that I used years ago that was completely conventional and had lots of bad ingredients, but it still seemed to get my skin more moisturized than just these oils and butters on their own. And I would even try things like spraying my face with rose water first and then applying the oil, because eventually I realized that I needed some actual moisture in my skin combined with the oil. But even still, it always felt like there was a missing link. And for me, these products have been the perfect bridge between the feeling that I got on my skin from that water-based conventional moisturizer versus using just oils and butters. So basically, these are part of a whole system of skincare. So first I cleanse my face with the clay and colloidal oatmeal cleanser from Jessica's line. And I will have all of this linked below for you. And then when my face is still wet from having rinsed off the clay, I then apply just a pea-sized amount of one of these serums and rub it in. And then I followed up with like an oil or a butter or both. And it's hard to put into words, but it was like the first time where I was like, wow, my skin has never been moisturized until I started using this product. It's full of humectants, and it also has a whole lot of other like medicinal ingredients in there, full of like antioxidants and just amazing ingredients for your skin. But basically it's a humectant mixture. So a humectant mixture is the perfect bridge between like straight up water and an oil. It like brings the two together and just moisturizes your skin really well. That's the best way I can explain it. I'm sure Jessica could explain it better, but it's just been an amazing product for me, and I hope she always makes this because I never want to be without it. She also has, let's see, this is magnesium oil, which is actually a water-based spray. This is just really great for relaxation and muscle pain and joint pain. I have been using and loving magnesium oil for years, especially through my pregnancies. It's been really good for helping with muscle cramps and things like that and relaxation at night. Another amazing product that she's just come out with recently that I am very excited about is the brightening facial mask. I don't want to get it too oily because my hands are oily, but let's just show you this. You see that beautiful yellow color? So it has turmeric in it and chickpea flour. So it's an amazing combination of Ayurvedic skincare with Korean skincare. And I can tell you, after just one use of this, I noticed a huge difference in my complexion with brightening up my complexion and reducing sunspots. And that has been one of my main concerns with my skin for a few years now, is like just sunspots. So I can really recommend all of her products. So I think if you were interested in trying out natural skincare at an affordable price, because there's so much like natural skincare out there, but not all of it is affordable. So Jessica's goal is to make high quality skincare that's also affordable. I think you should try out one of her skincare bundles. She has bundles where if you buy the whole bundle, you will make a good savings. And she has the cleanser, I think the serum too, and an oil-based serum, and then a body butter. And I actually use the body butters on my face and on my hair ends. So I will link all that below for you. And yeah, thank you, Jessica, for making these amazing products. So let's get back to finishing up this oil treatment. Actually, I might just go and grab the scalp massager. I'll be right back. Okay, so here's one of our scalp massagers. This is the Scalp Hero massager. I'll just turn it on so you can see. It has this red light built into the bottom, and it has these little hands that move around in circular motions. You don't have to use this, but it can be a really helpful tool for getting a very good deep massage without having to put in a whole lot of effort. For example, if all you have is just yourself to give yourself a scalp massage, this is a good tool to invest in, because it can be hard to give yourself a very deep scalp massage. But with this, it's very easy. And this is great for getting your scalp to really like loosen up and get more flexible, which is what we want. So I've noticed a big difference in Paul's hair also, because when we first started this routine and I would massage his scalp or comb his hair, he was actively shedding lots of hairs at that time. So there would be tons of hairs that were coming out on the comb or the scalp massager at that time. I mean, you might see the odd one now, but it has significantly decreased from when we started. And that was just probably like 2 months ago, right? Like, when would you say we started this clay wash routine and everything?
Yeah, a few months ago. Fairly recently.
Yeah, I would say like 2 months ago is when we started. No more than 3. So just in that amount of time, he has been shedding significantly fewer hairs, and we're already like seeing less hairs coming out and new hairs growing in. So it's been really amazing. So it's morning right now when we're filming this video, but usually when we apply the hair oil to Paul's hair, it's evening, just because that's when we remember to do it. That's when the kids are in bed and we're like, whoa, we can take a breather now. And then he'll wash his hair the next morning with the clay wash. And how was your experience, Paul, with washing your hair when it has oil in it and using the clay wash? Does it get all the oil out?
Yeah, I think for the most part. I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes you don't have to do it a second time, but
Yeah.
after the first time, it usually gets most of it out anyway.
Yeah, so as long as you don't use too much oil in your oil treatment, you really don't need a lot. And as long as you give it enough time to soak into your hair, it should be fine to get it out with the clay wash. Yeah, you might need to like do a clay, like put the clay in your hair, let it sit, rinse it out, and then repeat that one more time in the shower, and then do the vinegar rinse. But I don't think we've noticed any issues with that. So yeah, if you would like to, if you're a man or if you're someone who loves a man and wants him to help thicken up his hair or halt hair loss, because of course the best time to start any routine like this is when you first start noticing hair shedding, ideally. If you're someone in that situation, then I would definitely recommend for you to try out this routine. You don't have to use my hair growth oil, although I think it's obviously a great option because it has a lot of beneficial ingredients in it, but it could be something more simple than that. Hair oil, clay wash, apple cider vinegar rinse. Literally those 3 things. And scalp massage. I guess a couple other things we should mention, just more anecdotally. In the past, when your hair would start getting long, or when you were like self-conscious about how it looked, you would tend to wear hats all the time, right?
Yeah, you wear a hat.
Even in the house. Yeah. And while that is completely understandable, it's not ideal. It can actually exacerbate hair loss. So you've been wearing hats a lot less than you used to, right?
Yeah, I try not to wear them.
Yeah, anytime you have something tight against your head, you were wearing like ball caps, right? Like that kind of hat?
Yep.
Yeah, anytime you have something tight against your head for a long period of time, you're not letting your scalp breathe, and it can exacerbate hair loss. Another thing that we've been experimenting with, which we'll have to get back to you on for our final conclusion, but you have a pair of noise canceling headphones that go over your ears, right?
Yeah.
And you would always be wearing those, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like Paul
And it
works
goes
at home, so he would use the headphones to help focus because we have 5 kids at home. But we started wondering if maybe like the tight fitting band of these headphones rubbing right up against his crown where he had the most thinning could have been contributing. So for the past maybe few weeks, I would say, you've been not wearing those. You've switched to noise canceling earbuds. Yeah. So we'll have to get back to you on that, but I wouldn't at all be surprised if wearing something like that all the time was contributing to this specific area that they were sitting on getting a bit thinner. So that's just something to keep in mind. Another little thing that we've been doing, a little change, is what you can see me doing right now, which is combing his hair straight back. This is good because your hair doesn't naturally grow in this direction, so it can be helpful to comb against the direction of growth because it just helps stimulate your hair follicles when they're getting combed in an opposite direction to what they're used to. And I think it also looks good. Can you tell us about how you've been combing your hair, like when you get out of the shower and how it dries and everything?
Yeah, so first of all, when I dry it off a bit with a towel, I try to be gentle with it and not, shake it around too much because we noticed when I did that in the past, a lot of hairs would fall into the ground. So I've been more gentle with that, just kind of gently drying it and then taking a comb and just combing it straight back in all sides. And,
just straight back like what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
And then it dried really nice when you would do that, right?
Yeah, and then just let it dry and it kind of stays like that for the whole day. Yeah,
and I'm remembering that when you did that in the past, it wouldn't stay like that, right?
Yeah, it was, you would kind of go back. It's almost like I have hair gel in it. Like now it's like it stays, even though I don't have that.
Yeah, and he doesn't use any hair gel. It just stays like that, and it has all this volume as if he'd use hair gel, but he didn't. It's literally just the clay wash that does that, which is why I love the clay wash too, because I have curly hair and I don't use all sorts of curly hair gels anymore. And the clay wash on its own does a huge amount towards defining my hair texture without all that. And it can do the same thing for men's hair. Thank you for coming along with us to show this hair oil treatment on Paul's hair. And I hope it's encouraged you to believe that there is hope for your hair, despite what you think society says, or despite what you've been led to believe that you just have to have thinning hair. That's not necessarily the case, and there's a lot of topical things that you can do to change that and to thicken your hair and just bring it back to looking healthy and nice again. So thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you on the next one.